Hi, good morning. This is Judy of divinacucina.com. These are going to be I'm starting my first trials at doing some Periscope videos. Today we're going to be doing a frittata with some of the beautiful things I got at the weekly market in Montespertoli, which is one of our real farmers markets where the farmers come. Often when you go to the weekly markets, you're going to get the vegetable stands, but they go to the big market down in Florence and buy the products from the city market. And these are actually the people who grow what they sell, which is really nice. So I got farm fresh eggs, which are really lovely. I don't know if you've ever been to Italy, but we don't refrigerate our eggs. They're not really, in America they tend to wash them off, which takes off a small coating on the outside of the shell, which then lets air get in, so they go bad faster. These aren't washed. They're cleaned, but they're not really washed. There's still little feathers on here a little bit sometimes. But they're from a local farmer. I got asparagus. It's artichoke season. It's an A word. Artichoke season right now, and I did a video the other day where I just did the raw artichokes in a salad. In my cookbook, Secrets from My Tuscan Kitchen, which is on my website, we love artichokes, and we do fried artichokes. We eat artichokes raw in pinzimonio, which is just dipping them in olive oil and salt once they've been cleaned. We do them, I have a recipe for a type of frittata just with the artichokes. And we do them stewed. Just the other day I was in Sicily and we did a beautiful stew, which I might do a video on, which had a nice vegetarian base of garlic, olive oil, chili pepper, the stems of the artichokes, which you can also eat, which is like heart, the stems of parsley, which were really good. That was splashed with little white wine, and then we had vegetable broth, sliced raw potatoes, and then the artichokes cleaned on top, stuffed with mint and garlic. So that was really good too. So the different regions have different recipes and also different sizes and kinds of artichokes. I'm just going to show you this. This actually has little like thorns on top here. I don't know if you can see these. See that? You have to be careful when you clean these. There are little thorns right there. So that's it. And then we got green garlic. It looks like a green onion, but this is actually fresh garlic before it forms the bulb. So it's really nice. And the farmer there said I should just really saute this with garlic, olive oil, and chili pepper. You're going to hear that a lot from me. That's one of our trinities. When things are really fresh, they don't need a lot of ingredients to hide flavors. So we like to accent the flavors and use very few things. And then I also got the other day a beautiful red onion, spring red onion. We don't get a lot of those, what I would call in America, the scallions or the green onions. Also where I live, in Certaldo, we're famous for our red onions. This happens to be from Tropea, which is down in Calabria, which is also famous for their onions. And when they're younger, they're really good to eat raw and in salads. And right now, I just can't get enough of raw things. So we're going to like that. So today's frittata then will have a base of the onion, the green garlic, the artichokes, and from my little garden, I have about 10 asparagus plants I bought. And when you buy this little root that's very ugly, and I got a bunch of them for €3 at the market, about 10 of them. So I planted those in my garden. You don't harvest them the first year. And then they start coming up just whenever they're ready. So today, from the garden, look how funny. Sometimes I get these little thinner ones, which, I don't know if you can see that really well, how to make it really focus here. These really thin little ones, which are more like the wild asparagus I find actually out on the roads near my house, and a nice big thick one. I have chives in my garden, so I thought that would be nice. Parmesan cheese. I usually grate from the crust side. I just explained this a little bit on a Facebook Live. When you buy your Parmesan cheese and it comes with the crust, the form of a Parmesan cheese is huge. It's about this big. And when they first make them, they put them in a saltwater bath. And so the outside edge is actually just the drier part of the cheese. And that's been in more contact with the salt brine. So about this much of the form of the Parmesan cheese is going to be kind of salty. And real Parmesan has little tattoos. And it says Parmigiano Reggiano. If it has like crisscrosses on top of it, that means it didn't pass the test to be the first quality of Parmesan cheese. It's still really good, but it's not the first quality. And then the inner section of the Parmesan cheese is, I use for, you can see this is funny shaped. I shave this with a potato peeler onto my salad, or we tend to just eat this in chunks. It's very good as our protein or food. So I had a little leftover boiled potato. So I'm just going to start my frittata. Just a few weeks ago, I was in America at the Louisville, the IACP conference, and really, very generously, the Analon is one of our sponsors. You see the Analon. And they gave us this beautiful, heavy pan, really non-stick. And I think one of the problems is we tend to, like everybody else, you tend to go cheaper sometimes and buy an inexpensive little pan for non-stick. But they tend to scratch, the coating comes off, it gets in your food. You know, you forget, you use a fork. This is really a beautiful, high-quality pan. And I'm very lucky to have received this as a gift. So I have my extra virgin olive oil. I only use extra virgin. And I keep it in a dark tin so that no light gets to it. Sea salt. I have a fine sea salt. Sea salt has less sodium, has more magnesium. So it has a lot of flavor of the minerals from the sea and not as much sodium. I have a little grated black telly cherry pepper. And that's about it. Let me just turn this on. So I'm, tell you a little bit about myself too. I'm an American, originally from California. And I love to travel. My mom actually grew up in Shanghai. So I'm kind of really almost like a first generation American. My grandmother was born in Georgia, not the United States, but Georgia on the Black Sea, Russian, kind of. And my grandfather was born in the south of France of an English mother and a Turkish father. And he went to America when he was about 15 or 16 years old, maybe, and ended up in Texas and joined the American Army. So in 1917, he was sent to Shanghai with the American Army. And he met my grandmother, who with her family had gone from Georgia to Manchuria, and then to Hunan, and then to Shanghai. So I'm your typical American hot pot, gypsy, travel blood kind of person. And my culinary experience, I ended up being a pastry chef. My last big job in America was working in a 5-star hotel and did pastries in the Stanford Court Hotel in San Francisco. So I finally came to Italy in 1984. I started traveling in 79 and had gone almost everywhere else that I really loved in Europe. I've been to England, Ireland, Scotland, France. I've been 5 times. Greece, Israel, spent 9 months traveling in the Mediterranean, down in that area. And I always kind of avoided Italy because it seemed like it was screamy, yelly people all the time, and I thought they were fighting. And then in 1984, my roommate at the time said, "Go to Italy, you'll love Italy, and Italy will love you." So I bought a one-way ticket and did a month in France and a month in Italy, and ended up loving it and staying. A year later, I met an Italian guy, and so now I'm married to a Florentine, and I've been living here since 1984. So I'm going to start my frittata. I have a little bowl here for all the garbage, with the green garlic and the onion. And nothing really needs to cook very long because these are all very young and tender and could actually be eaten raw. So I'm just going to slice everything nice and small because it is going to be in my frittata. A frittata is just like an open-faced omelet. A lot of people finish them off in the oven. I just put a lid on my pan and do it stovetop. Okay. You have to be careful. I'm using a very sharp knife. This is one of those really, really nice shoe knives that I was given by a friend in America when I was doing a cooking class. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this. Already this green garlic smells fabulous. Then I'm going to do my onion. These are going to build up the flavors here. And I'm only going to use this bulb part of it. Take off the... I always cut a flat side down. I think that's easier so things don't roll. It's very easy when you have a sharp knife to slice your fingertips off. And fingers bleed a lot. So you want to be very careful. I also don't drink while I'm cooking. A lot of times when cooking classes, people always want to have a glass of wine and drink, and I just really don't think it's a good idea. I like to concentrate, you know. So these are beautiful, beautiful onions. The other day I just did these with some cherry tomatoes and a salad with cucumbers and basil. I'm going to get my little bench scraper right here. These are really great when you're chopping things to not have to just pick them up with your hands and get them into the pans. This is called a bench scraper. It's really funny. This morning I was inspired at ISCP by a class I went to on live broadcasting, and there was the people from Food 52, and there was this girl, Andrea Banchini, who did a cooking class live, and also Leslie Nance, who's the Go-To Kitchens, which was really fun. Afterwards, I'll put a little note on who I watched and who inspired me. And this morning, it was really funny because I was getting ready to do this class today, and Leslie was doing Mexican food this week, and basically she ended up doing scrambled eggs, I guess, but with a Mexican base of bell peppers and onions and tomatoes, which is really funny. So it's kind of the same, because she also has the same pan. We were at the same meeting together. And, you know, when you cook, you have your favorite tools, and she uses the bench scraper to move things around. So I always use extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to just show you here, too, the artichoke. I'm going to put this right now in I have lemon water right here to keep it from oxidizing. But to clean an artichoke, in case you didn't see that video the other day, we get the artichokes with their stems on them. Now, a stem is just an extended heart. So to make things easier, I'm just going to cut that off. And then we just start pulling off these hard leaves. Okay? And you can actually hear the noise start to change. In Rome, they have a bigger artichoke. It's bigger and round, and they tend to do those stewed, or they do them double fried. So if you're in Rome right now, it's really... Oh, did you hear that? The noise changed. And you can see they're getting light yellow and kind of violet. Now, I know I'm from California, and often I can get what's called the baby artichokes. When artichokes grow, there's usually one big artichoke at the top of the plant. And then from the base coming up on the stems, you'll get the small baby artichokes. So they tend to, what they do is they call that castrating them. They'll take the baby artichokes off the stems, sell them, those in a bag to you. And I put a photograph, maybe yesterday or the day before, on Instagram. I'm Divina Cucina almost everywhere, so you can see that. And they're really good. We tend to make preserved artichokes, which I have on my blog, how to do those. I have one where it's just soaked in vinegar and salt overnight, and that pickles them, and then they're done in extra virgin olive oil, of course. So once I've got this done now, I just slice off where it's purple. And these tend to not have any choke, okay? So I'm also going to trim this. Now, be careful, because if you're using these really sharp knives, I tend to keep my thumb down below, and you're really trying to take off as little as possible. If you're a beginner, I would suggest just using a, can you see this? Just using a potato peeler would be easier. Okay? I'm just going to cut that in half. You can see there's no choke, okay? And for my frittata, I want these to be kind of in nice sized pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to throw these right in. So I want them to be a little bit chunky, so I'll have some nice big pieces here. I'm going to lightly salt this. Salt helps bring out the water in the veggies. I can see I need a little more olive oil. We're always generous with our olive oil here. That's, I think, why everybody has such beautiful skin. All the olive oil that they use. And you can see, too, when you're talking to people, you can see the Mediterranean diet is so popular. We don't really use butter. If you do, be sure to use a good butter. You can see, I know, like Leslie today was using Kerrygold, so I saw that's quite available now in America. I learned about Kerrygold when I was at ICP. I go there to learn what's new and what's happening in America. And Kerrygold is an Irish butter, grass-fed cattle. Very, very good. So I'm going to let this start to cook. I could just also now cover this with water and make my stewed artichokes, which is also in my book. I have an ebook version of it now that you can download. And my regular book still, it doesn't have pictures, doesn't have headers, doesn't have stories. When I first started out teaching, I taught cooking since 1988 downtown Florence. And I started teaching for the University of Syracuse, their study abroad program. So I was teaching kids like a cooking 101. They moved here and tried to get them to just really be able to take care of themselves in the market. And so I had handwritten recipes that I handed out. And then I photocopied them and kind of bound them into a book. And after a while, it was getting a little bit ridiculous. So I decided to see what it would cost me to actually create a cookbook with that. So I created my own handwriting font, so it would look like the book that I always had. So, I probably have a copy here. I can show you. Wait a second. So I have this. This is my cookbook. It's called Secrets from My Tuscan Kitchen, and I'm Judy Witz-Franchini, Divina Cucina's Recipes, and it's really kind of funny, Tuscan husband approved. So I think one of the things that's important is that I teach you to cook for an Italian, a real Italian, not Italian Americans. Their recipes are a little bit different because, like, when their grandmothers came over, they had to make do with what they had. And so the recipes kind of changed. And most of the Italian Americans tend to be from Sicily or Naples. Not a lot of Tuscans moved. Some did from Rome. Oh, and this is a painting somebody did of me. And then here, that's my husband and I in a little village called Innamorata, which is really cute, which is on the island of Elba. So my cookbook is like handwritten recipes in American measurements. And then this was for taking notes. So while you're cooking, you can change the recipe, take notes on how you did it. So it's stitched, and it's on beautiful paper. I really love it. So you can open it, crack it open, and it's not going to fall apart. It's really nice. So it's like 20 euro, and then 10 euros for shipping because it's expensive to ship. I actually ship from California. So when we're doing this, we're just going to see our garlic is getting gold now. The artichokes are cooking. Can you see? It doesn't really take them very long, again, because they are so fresh. I'm going to throw the asparagus in. Those bigger pieces will take longer. I like to do things that are simple and easy. My kind of nickname for my program is called Simply Divina because I like to make everything simplified. I learned from my mother-in-law. She was from Florence. She would spend more time shopping and less time cooking. So that's my mantra. If you actually search out really good products, they need nothing done to them. So she would spend the whole morning shopping in her local neighborhood. She was from the San Frittata region. That's where my husband grew up, in the Oltrarno. And she would spend the whole morning out chit-chatting with the girls and stuff, shopping, the butcher, the baker, picking up fresh food like every day, being inspired but what the market had, and then come home, and basically the trick is put your pot of water on the boil because, you know, they're going to have a plate of pasta every day, and then maybe a 3-ounce portion of pasta, and then a very small, like 3-ounce portion of meat. So it could be a chicken breast, a slice of beef, and usually a cooked vegetable and a raw vegetable. No dessert or anything. So put the pot of water on the boil, and then she would come home and just, with ragu and stuff, I mean, Florentines don't really have anything fancy for your pasta sauces. It could be butter and Parmesan cheese. Here go my chives. Butter and Parmesan cheese, a simple tomato sauce that you would usually have some tomatoes ready for sauce, and that just needs like a crushed tomato sauce. Really just needs like a tablespoon of butter and Parmesan cheese, a little bit of basil. You can always do canned tomatoes and then do garlic, olive oil, chili pepper, or something spicy. You can add capers, olives, oregano. It's simple, but the thing that takes the longest time is for the pasta water to boil. And then the pasta takes about 10 minutes to cook. So you have like a half hour when this is all happening where you could do something else. Like, this is my clean the refrigerator frittata. So I had the leftover boiled potato. I had the artichokes. I had bought 4, so I had 2 left over. I did 2 in a salad, and then I had these 2 left over. The asparagus came from my garden. We're adding the potato cubes now. And in Spain, it's quite popular to have just a potato frittata. Potatoes, you know, are the cheap, great food of life. Boiled, fried. I love them. Whenever I don't know what to make, it's always like just to boil a potato. And we tend to boil them in salted water. which gives them flavor just by themselves, and then a splash of vinegar after you've peeled them. We always cook them in the skin in salted water, and then peel them when they come out. So a splash of vinegar soaks into the potatoes, which gives you that kind of potato salad flavor, that tartness of the vinegar, and then your olive oil, and that's a dressed potato. Some people like to do like a little sauce with maybe some chopped parsley and garlic or whatever. And so now I'm just going to do my eggs. I think I need like three or four eggs for this size pan. Oh my God, I don't know if you can see. Look at the color of that yolk. Chickens that eat corn, which is what they tend to do here, are just incredible. This is really beautiful eggs. I did a fried egg the other day on top of some like hash browns for breakfast on Sunday. That's beautiful. So the shells here are very thin, and I just saw I got a little piece of shell in here, and you use the shells to get them out. I was a pastry chef, so we cracked a lot of eggs. This is one of like the best tricks of life. Here we go. 3 eggs. And just lightly break the yolks up with the whites. And I'm going to do a little salt in here that helps to break them up. We don't add milk or anything to the eggs. Okay, so I've got this is all ready now. The potatoes are already cooked, so that's easy. I'm going to add some grated Parmesan cheese into the egg mixture, which makes it really nice. Often here, just a plain omelet could be a main course in Tuscany when you go to a restaurant, and they'll make a really beautiful soft omelet, roll it out of the pan, cut a slice in the top while the egg's still kind of creamy and moist, and just put tons of Parmesan cheese on top of it, and that would be considered the main course here. I use 3-year-old Parmesan cheese because that's what I could get, which is really lucky. And we pay about 15 or 16 euros a kilo. A kilo is 2.2 pounds. So it's very inexpensive to have the best quality. I don't buy the pre-grated because I don't want it to dry out. So I'm kind of picky about a few of those things. And then we're just going to pour this all on top of there. Look at that color. And then what I want to do is immediately kind of make sure, look how beautiful this pulls away from the side of this pan. Lightly start to stir this so that the eggs will cook quicker, mixing the top to the bottom, and mixing up so it cooks, and it's not just a raw egg sitting on top. So that really helps. I'm going to push it all down from the sides now. Press my ingredients to spread them out. And this is where most people probably would put it in the oven. Well, our trick here is to just put a lid on it. In Italy, electricity is very expensive, so we tend to use the gas stovetops more and the oven less. So that's making that an oven. People don't eat a lot of desserts. We even have a roast meat dish that we do on top. It's called arrosto morto. And I could take a nice big pork roast and just brown it in olive oil and rosemary, add a splash of wine, and again cover it with a lid and let it cook for 40 minutes, turning it. And that would be like a stovetop roast called arrosto morto, which means dead roast, as opposed to a spit roasting meat. It's sitting still. So this trick I think is really good. Covering things on top of the stove creates like a little oven. So I'm almost ready to check. Here we go. This is really beautiful. So it still needs to set up a little in the middle right here. It's still moist. Right now I'm just going to add a little pepper. This is Tella cherry pepper, which I really like. Very flavorful. You don't need a lot. And so by adding the lid, this is going to create a an oven. Okay? So just going to wait a few more minutes. This is also right now on a smaller burner, so I could get the distance from the camera. But this way too, I don't really have to flip the frittata. Have you ever seen that? Maybe I should do that for you. This is a really great trick that I learned to do both sides. I'm going to take this lid and wet it. This took years of practice, okay? Let me get everything out of the way here. And I'm going to flip it onto the lid and then slide it back in to cook the other side, okay? So you want to be sure you have a good grip on your pan. Flip, don't let it really move. And then go to the far side and slip it back in. Was that fabulous? That's like one of the best tricks. So you do have a little of the egg left on here, and now I don't need to cover it anymore. And that's my frittata. We'll just let it cook for a minute. That's all it really needs. Just seeing, that'll be fine. So here is my beautiful spring garden frittata. Let me just cut it open for you. Turn off this. So you can see it's just got all the beautiful vegetables just right in there. And this is our lunch today. Buon appetito, and thanks for joining me. You can go to my site, divinacucina.com, and there's a whole bunch of recipes online about artichokes and techniques of cooking things. My cookbook is available online, and then I will post this video to Facebook, and it'll be on Twitter and my Periscope page, okay? Thanks a lot for joining me. Dining with the Diva. I'm your personal diva in the kitchen for your Tuscan food, okay? Ciao. Let me just get this in here. My little beautiful frittata.